There has been a great deal of discussion and analysis of the Caerphilly by-election result. Obviously it was a success for Plaid, but I think most of the discussion has underestimated the success of reform. Let's just look at the votes. So Labour, the big loser in this, went down by 34.9%. This really matters because Caerphilly has sent a Labour candidate for as long as there's been a Labour movement, effectively. It's been one of the cornerstones of the Labour movement, a strong, solid, red area. It voted Labour come what may. But this time, the Labour vote collapsed. Calypso, 34.9% down, only maintaining 11% vote share. But where did that 34.9% go? Not all to Plaid. Plaid went up well and well enough to win the by-election comfortably, but it only went up by 19%. That leaves 15% spare. And Reform went up by 34.2%. Now, that vote cannot have come from what you might call Conservative with a small c parties, of which really Conservative Party is the key one. The Conservative vote went down by 15.3%, but that leaves 19% that Reform picked up from other people, not from the Conservatives. And the Conservatives, understandably, voted tactically. I think many staunch Tories saw that Reform as a unionist party, as a party broadly of the right, in a first-past-the-post system, was a sensible place to lend your vote. But that does not explain how Reform's vote went up by so much. It must have won votes from left-wing parties, and it must particularly have won votes from the Labour Party. It probably needed to get almost all of that other 15%. Where else would it have gone? Turnout was strong, and I'm taking from the 2021 elections to date, so that's comparing the constituency at local elections, at Welsh Assembly elections rather than a general election. It's an extraordinary increase to have got and to have taken votes from Labour. And this matters because actually it's what Reform has been saying, that they're not just taking votes from Conservatives, they're managing to do what Boris did and to bring people from Labour as well. Partly this shows enormous dissatisfaction with Labour, the failures of Keir Starmer, the troubles that the state is finding, the mismanagement, the failure to deal with the small boats, the failure to even keep people in prison who ought to be kept there. On and on the failures go, the economic failure, the disaster that is Rachel Reeves. All of that has pushed people away from Labour. But they haven't gone left, they've gone right. And this, I think, bodes very well for Reform, and that the caveats that have been issued, the suggestion that Caerphilly wasn't quite good enough, I think are basically wrong in a seat that was overwhelmingly left. If you compare 2021 and 2025, in 2021, left-wing parties, that is to say Labour and Plaid, in first and second place, won 74.4% of the vote. This time, left-wing parties won 58.4% of the vote, a collapse in support for the left. And this really reinforces the argument that I've been making for some time about how the right needs to unite. The country is moving to right-wing parties because they are fed up with the failures of the left. And here is the challenge for Reform, which I've written about on Substack. It's a free article this month that you can get if you go on to Substack. But Reform's challenge is now putting into practice its theories. And Kent has become the poster boy for Reform. Can it make Kent County Council pay? And here you're talking about a gross budget of £3 billion, a net budget of £1.5 billion, and you're already hearing rumours that Reform's going to put the council tax up by almost the maximum. This must not happen. Reform needs to show that it can spend the taxpayers' money better, that it can cut things, that it can work out what doesn't need to be done, that it can show that it is better than the old parties. Its whole criticism is that other parties have done things badly, we can do it better. We're new and fresh, we're taking a different approach. And if it can do that in Kent, it will earn plaudits. If it can't, it will earn brickbats. And what does it need to do? Well, I've suggested in my piece that it follow Jack Welch. And you may well ask, who is Jack Welch? Jack Welch ran GE, one of America's biggest companies, for 20 years. And he took over a mature business that everyone thought was ex-growth. And in reality, it was pretty much ex-growth. But he supercharged profits by making it more efficient. He got rid of people who weren't doing good jobs. He massively increased productivity. He made sure that the money that was spent better, that every dollar he spent went further. And that's what's needed in the public sector. It's not Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a brilliant businessman, but he's in the startup phases of business when you burn cash, not in the later stage of businesses when you're focused absolutely on the cost element. That is Jack Welch, and that is what reform needs to learn from in Kent. And it must avoid what has happened to countless councillors and MPs and ministers over the generations. Must not allow its people to go native and become advocates for the system that they are now running. That is the danger for reform. Caerphilly was its success. Caerphilly has been underrated. Kent is a problem that reform needs to solve. As always, thank you very much for watching.